Hello everyone and welcome back to our Artificial Intelligence lecture series. I am Nadia Patel. Let's get started with our today's lecture. We have already started Unit 2, which is Introduction to Intelligent System, and we have already gone through one introductory lecture which was about definition of intelligence. So before actually understanding what intelligent systems are all about and what they do, we must try to understand what intelligence is all about. So let us take the same topic further and understand what is intelligence. So in today's lecture we will actually try to understand what are types of intelligence. I have already given you one definition about intelligence, and under this type we will try to understand what is introduction about intelligence, what exactly intelligence is all about, and finally we will see what are different types or categories of intelligence. So in the previous lecture I have already told you that defining intelligence is not easy, or psychologists have got difference of opinion on actually defining intelligence. Even psychology does not have a set of rules which should be applied and followed while treating patients, because from person to person thinking changes, and intelligence is not something which should be same in everyone. Like for example, if it is about hands, we have 10 fingers in both the hands. There can be an exceptional case where we have an extra thumb or extra finger, but apart from that we don't have anything which is different from this concept. Similarly, we cannot theorize or actually get some set of sentences or paragraph or rules which can actually define this is intelligence and anything apart from that is not intelligence. So this is which was the problem while defining intelligence in the term or in the field of psychology. So before understanding what psychologists decided, how did it got started, where did it ended, I again want to ask you the same question. Last time I asked you the question that can we actually define intelligence. In today's lecture I would like to ask you this question, that what exactly is this intelligence? What is your definition of intelligence? What have you understood as this is what I think is intelligence and this is not intelligence? So I think I should give you one more case study or an assumption. Actually it is not assumption, it is a sad reality that if a person is good at studies, it is actually assumed to be that the person is intelligent. Now if you ask me, I call it an assumption. I don't think that this is reality, but it is a sad reality that we all have grown up listening to these things, that if you are good at studies you are intelligent. Unfortunately people actually judge us on the basis of our percentage and what grade did we secure. So what was the percentage or what was the aggregate marks you secured in your exam, and then they directly actually relate it to your intelligence. If you are a 90% holder or a scholar or a ranker, they definitely have a different outlook towards you, and the way they look towards you changes and they think that you're intelligent. But if you ask me, this is an assumption, and let us actually find out whether even psychologists believe that if you are good at studies, if you have good academic record, if you are holding some degrees, you are intelligent. Let us find out. So let us understand where did it started. So it is again back between or before 1950s, where psychology was becoming a field of importance, because they were treating people, they were actually trying to analyze human brain. So many of us think that artificial intelligence was the branch where intelligence came into existence, and people started defining intelligence, but rather psychology was the branch of science where intelligence started getting into it and started defining. So, psychologists generally do not characterize human intelligence by just one trait. Now, what does trait means? Trait means a characteristic. So, according to psychology, if a person is good at mathematics or science, it is not his characteristic. It is not something that he should be characterized for, or that is not a quality. If somebody is good at theorems, if somebody is good at formulas, solving them and doing some calculations within seconds, that doesn't mean that it is his some kind of quality. So this is what psychologists believe. So in 1921, there was a symposium in America where psychologists came together, and two psychologists, Lewis Terman and Edward Thorndike, actually had a difference of opinion on the definition of intelligence. So this was the symposium where intelligence was getting defined. According to Terman, definition of intelligence should be the ability to think abstractly, and according to Thorndike, intelligence can be defined as the learning ability or some ability to give good responses to asked questions. If you are giving good response to a question, the way you are answering actually tells whether the person is intelligent or not, according to Thorndike. And according to Terman, the ability to think abstractly, if you are thinking in a certain way, if you have your own mindset, if you have your own thought process, that can be defined as intelligence. So finally, after a long debate, they all landed, or they all actually ended up to agreeing that intelligence can be adaptation. Now all of us are familiar to this term of adaptation. Adaptation means adapting or accepting or actually molding yourself to the environment. So if you are good at adaptation, that means you can survive in any situation, and this is the basic rule of nature. Adaptation to this environment or to the surrounding is the basic rule of nature, and if you are good at adaptation, you will survive. This is what the nature has taught us. So what does this adaptation means now? Let us understand. Now adaptation is not only like, for example, there are weather changes, like in, we can say just 10 or 15 years back, we had a certain type of weather and we all were familiar to it. There was not drift of weather, or there was not shift of weather, like summers getting longer or rainy season getting longer. This was not the case. But now here in India, we experience such weather drift and shifts. We can actually experience that the summer is getting longer some years, or sometimes the monsoon is getting longer. Sometimes there is no, we can say, cold, or there is no winter. We don't experience winter some years. So this is because of there are some global warming changes, and these changes are affecting climate. So this is climatic changes, and adapting to these changes is adaptation? No, not exactly. So we will actually find out what does this adaptation means. So we'll take 2-3 examples and try to understand. This is certain kind of adaptation, like if you are adapting to nature, if you are adapting to climate and weather, that is adaptation for sure. But apart from that, let us take one example of a student in a school learns the material he needs to know in order to do well in a course. So let us assume that there is a student which is a school going student, and he actually attends the same class the rest of 50-60 people does. There are 60 people in his classroom. There is one teacher teaching one subject, and there is one textbook which is referred by every single person. So as we can see this scenario, that there is one teacher who is teaching one subject and there is one textbook of study. Still, some are rankers, some are scholars in the same class, in the same batch, and some people fail. Failures are trying to adapt to what the textbook is all about, what the definition is all about. Same definition is learned by everyone, but some get scored very beautifully and some don't. So what is this? In this scenario, student is actually trying to adapt to that textbook, to that material of study, to the teacher, the style of teaching, and he's sharing the same class with the rest of the 50 people or rest of the 60 people. This is one adaptation. Second, we can take one example. Now, I know already that we all are actually fed up of listening the same thing. We are actually tired of listening to this word, but unfortunately, I think this is a good example of adaptation. The virus, the corona itself, has become the best example for adaptation. Why? Because let us now assume there is a doctor who has got his degree from US university, let us assume, and there is again one more doctor who has got his degree from the same university, but the other doctor is treating patients in Africa and this doctor is treating patients in India. So as the region changes, the way of treating of these doctors do change. Like the climatic changes are different, the cultural changes are different, the food habits are different, the food we eat is different from the people of Africa. So the doctors will treat on the basis of which area he is serving. Both of them have got the same degree, but the style of treatment is different on the basis of the doctor individually. The second case is all the doctors which are around us are skilled. They have their degrees, they have their knowledge, but still the pandemic situation made it so difficult for every single doctor to actually understand what this virus is all about. These doctors have already treated patients with virus infection, so they know how to treat a patient if he is infected with a certain virus. But this was a new virus. They didn't study in their textbooks, they didn't had a reference of this virus. They were new, completely new to this virus and to this disease, but still they started learning, and with the help of some past experiences and previous situation and their knowledge, they actually find out certain ways of treating patients with whatever limited medications they had. So this is one example of adaptation. Surgeons took every single precaution previously, but now imagine your OPD doctor, your regular family doctor wearing PPE kits and treating patient. So this has become very difficult for them. So they have adapted to this new situation. Even we have adapted to this new situation. Like we are being more concerned towards health and hygiene now because of this pandemic, and this is what adaptation means. The next example is of an artist. Say for example you are a painting artist and you like painting deserts. Now desert means the sand and the camels and the cactus, not the one we have, the sweet dish, not that desert. What I mean here is the desert, the Sahara desert, the camel, the cactus. He likes painting such kind of paintings. But then there comes a client who is actually asking for Kashmir Valley. Now this is something which is a cold place, which has got snow, which has got greenery all about. It is all about having beautiful valleys and flowers, and it is floral. And on the contrary, the person who is the artist actually likes painting sand, cactus and sunny things. So is he going to fail? Now here he will actually respect his client, he will take his whatever feedbacks are and he will start painting accordingly. Now, in all the three cases, I would like to ask you, isn't intelligence involved? A student studying in a class of 60 people, he's trying to cope up with every single person. He's trying to understand what the teacher is trying to teach. He's trying to study and memorize the material. This is intelligence. A doctor who has already got his degree, who has his knowledge, but fails in treating corona patient because this is new to him. He is trying to learn from this situation now. Here intelligence is involved. Again, here an artist who loves painting deserts and sand is asked to paint Kashmir Valley, a painting of a Kashmir Valley. Here intelligence isn't involved. Don't you think that intelligence cannot be actually applied to a branch where, like for example, if you are good at maths, you are intelligent. If you are good at science, your intelligence is good? No, so that is not the case. Again, I would like to give you two more examples. If there is a dancer and he dances flawlessly on any music, don't you think intelligence is involved to actually choreograph what step should come next and what step will look better on the song? If there is a composer and he likes composing ghazals and soft music, and there comes a client who wants a piece of lyrics to be get converted into song but with a rock music, so the composer will actually study what notes he should add and he will compose accordingly. So intelligence is involved in every single field you work. We cannot apply intelligence to only degrees and studies and academics. So this is what psychologists actually thought, and they found that adaptation is the key to intelligence. So what exactly this adaptation involves now? One thing, adaptation can be changing yourself to adapt to the environment. As I told you that there was a climatic change. 15 years back, we did not experience very sunny summers or very chilly winters, but now we experience them. In sometimes there is no summer, sometimes there is no winter. So these are the changes to environment, and now we have to change us according to the environment. So one case is either you need to change yourself. The second case is change the environment itself. Say for example, you are a computer background student and you think this is not the field which is made for me. I think I can do much more better if I become a musician. So change your environment, go study music, get expertise over music, and then emerge as a good musician. So this is one case. So one thing, either you need to change yourself if you want to adapt to the background. If you want to adjust in the computer background itself, make sure that you get your skills done good. Get expertise over programming, study new languages, read what is happening in the world of technology. That means you're changing yourself. Second case, change your environment completely. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Go change it. If you think you're not fit for this background, change your background, find what background suits you, study and get expertises, change your environment. So this is what adaptation means. One more example which I forgot to give you, that we all have adapted to the new normal, which is work from home, which is very very difficult, and actually I can't even explain you how difficult it is getting. So this is adaptation. Here we haven't left our field, we have kept our environment, we have changed actually our environment. So work environment when you are in office and work environment when you're working from home changes, and this is one actually exceptional kind of example of adaptation. We had to make changes in ourselves, we had to get adjusted to the technological things, and we also had to change our background. So this is actually an exceptional kind of adaptation. You are leaving your workplace, you're changing your environment. Secondly, You're making changes in yourself, like we were actually used to by teaching using chalk and board and duster, but now we have switched to making videos and slides and taking online lectures. So our environment has also changed, and we have also changed ourselves to cope up to the situation. So this is what adaptation means. Survival is the rule, and if you want to survive and earn and live, you have to adjust to the new normal changes. So effective adaptation finally draws some processes, which is perception, learning, memory, reasoning, and problem solving. These are actually components of intelligence which we are going to go through in the next lecture itself. But in today's lecture, we will understand what intelligence is all about, and finally what are the different categories of intelligence. So intelligence in total has actually summed up, or we have actually coined that term to have adaptation first, and secondly, it is not one ability but it is a collection of many abilities. If you are good at only science, if you're good at geography, if you're good at some a particular subject, that doesn't mean that you're intelligent. If you have many abilities inside you, that makes you intelligence. This is what psychologists believe. Now again, it is not necessary that you have to be a good musician, you have to be a good dancer, again you have to have a good academic record, and then people will call you intelligent. Find your field of liking, your field of, you can say, where you can get your expertises, and if you are expert in that field, you are intelligent according to me. So you don't have to agree every time. This is my view of thinking and my way of thinking. So we have one best example of having many abilities, which is Leonardo da Vinci. Everybody knows about him. He was a good painter, he was good at drawing, he was an engineer, he was good at science, he was good at making sculptures, and again he was good architect. So his famous painting Mona Lisa, everybody knows about it. The person who is having many abilities, so you can call him intelligent, but this is not the necessary kind of thing that you should have a wide range of variety of fields and you can do this, you can do that. What I would say is, find one field which fits you and get expertises in them, and then anybody will call you intelligent. So let us now understand what are different categories of intelligence. As I have already told you that defining intelligence was not easy, so finally they found some definitions and agreed to some things, but still psychologists and people think that intelligence cannot be categorized. So still they have made some areas where you can actually differentiate between. So the first area you can say, or category, is linguistic intelligence. Now linguistic intelligence means that if you have ability to recognize and use mechanisms of phonology. Now what does this phonology mean? Phonology means speech and sound. So if you are good at speaking, if you are good at listening, that means you have linguistic intelligence. Again, this linguistic intelligence will have syntax and semantics. Syntax means the grammar and semantics means the meaning. So if you're good at it, so people who are narrators, who narrate, the storytellers, they have the linguistic intelligence. They know what sentence to use and how to use it. The next is musical intelligence. As I told you, if there is a composer who actually has got knowledge or is good at composing ghazals, and he gets one client who wants to compose a piece of lyrics and convert it into a pop music. So he will actually make use of his musical intelligence, what notes he had studied, what is rhythm all about, and put together and compose the song for him. So the ability to create, communicate, and understand meanings made with the sound, understanding the pitch and the rhythms, has actually, that means that the person has musical intelligence. So musicians, singers, composers all fall in the same category. The next is logical or mathematical intelligence. As I already told you, the one who is good at calculations, one who can manage accounts very beautifully. So CAs, we can say, chartered accountants who are very good at managing accounts and into numbers, who are good at numbers. These people, and again, if you can see people in your classroom uh, who can solve problems very easily. If you are supposed to write a code in C, they will quickly write down it, they'll get some control structures, they'll write some loops, they will nest them, write down the cases, and quickly solve the code and run them very easily. So if the person is good at this, he might have got his logical mathematical intelligence very good. The next is spatial intelligence or spatial intelligence, they call it. So this is some intelligence related to space. If we can say that astronauts have this kind of intelligence. Now this is one example of science. If you are an astronaut, you have your spatial or spatial intelligence very good and correct. On the contrary, I can give you one more example. The people who draw rangoli, the 3D rangoli, where if you stand at a certain angle and watch it at a certain place, you actually see objects which have 3 dimensions in it, but actually it is a rangoli drawn on a plain surface on the ground. So people who have this imagination of how brightness works, if you send light from the top, how the shadow is going to appear on the other side, the one who has this kind of intelligence, we can call that person to have spatial intelligence. Not everyone will have this one, okay? So very few people actually understand how to make objects appear in air, or how to give that 3-dimensional effect to these objects. So the one who is good at it will have spatial intelligence. The next is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Now we all know kinetic energy and how it works and all about it. So this is involved in the people who have got mobility, who are very good at body balance, who can balance on beam, the people who do malkham, or the one who are doing gymnastics have bodily kinesthetic intelligence. So even if dancer having jumps and landing very smoothly on the ground, the one who can hold his body and make use of balance, who has a beautiful body balance, have got this kind of intelligence. The next is intrapersonal intelligence. So I don't know how many of you have got this intelligence, but intrapersonal intelligence is the ability to distinguish among one's own feelings, intentions, and motivations. If you ask me, this is a very important kind of intelligence. Now, when it is intrapersonal, it is within, it is inside us, like we having communication with ourselves, talking with yourself only. So nobody around you, and you just have a conversation in your head, in your mind, and actually try to figure out what situation is. If you are in some certain problems, what should you do? So you actually have a talk or communication with yourself, like meditation. Gautam Buddha, the god, actually had this beautiful intelligence of interpersonal intelligence. The people who are very strong at soul, at mind, and who can meditate for even a minute. If you can for a minute just leave behind everything and be calm and concentrate, if you're good at meditation, you will have this intrapersonal intelligence. Where on the other side, there are people who get disturbed very easily, If there is a certain noise, they'll get disturbed. So lack of concentration is where you have lack of this intelligence. If there is this intelligence is less in amount in yourself, that means you are unable to concentrate. If you are unable to concentrate, find a good place for you and start meditation. Meditation improves your concentration actually. The next is interpersonal intelligence. Now, intrapersonal is something where we have communication with ourselves. We talk to ourselves. So many people might say, when we need expert advice, I talk to myself. So there are certain people. So interpersonal intelligence is something where we communicate with others. We have a communication. You might find some people are very good at communication. You cannot say no to such people. They are very good at communicating soft words. They know what to speak, when to speak, very softly, very generously. They will find out ways to talk to people, and from people to people their communication skill also changes. So if you have such people around, they have this interpersonal intelligence and they know when to talk, how to talk, and what to talk with certain type of people, and the way of talking and their style of talking also changes. So this is interpersonal intelligence. So these are the categories they have find out to actually divide intelligence. So that's all. And finally, now again back to our question. So what have you understood with today's lecture? Whether intelligence is good at studies, you are intelligent, or you have found something new now. Many of you will start feeling now that maybe I am not intelligent. Till these years I thought I am scoring 80% and more, that means I was intelligent, but today's lecture has actually made us think something different. So henceforth, if somebody asks you what are your percentage, and then if they try to figure it out that whether you are intelligent or not, show them this video and actually try to explain them that this is the branch of psychology, is the branch which studies brain, and they have found that intelligence is not being good at studies only. If you can do many things, if you are good at multiple things, that means you are intelligent. Say for example, you are good at driving, you are good at drawing and painting, you are good at dancing, and you are good at one subject of study, that means you are intelligent. If you can do things with intelligence, with making use of your back experience, you are learning them, and if you're putting your efforts and making it good, that means you're intelligent. So henceforth, no need to worry if you don't have that beautiful 90% on your mark sheet or on your result. But unfortunately, while getting admission to college, while getting jobs, this is the only criteria we have found. So sad reality, but never mind. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope it was informative for you. You got to learn some new thing inside this lecture. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope it was easy.